The market is hard right now. Costs are up, customer behavior has shifted, conversion rates that used to be reliable maybe aren't anymore, and a lot of brands are feeling it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's easy. It's not. And anyone who's pretending otherwise either isn't running a real business or isn't being straight with you. But here's what I'm also seeing. Some brands are growing right now in this market. They're adapting, they're finding opportunities, and they're winning, even when the conditions aren't on their side. So the question I want to answer today is, what are those brands doing differently? Now, let's be honest about where we are. Consumer confidence has taken a hit. People are more careful with their thinking. They're thinking harder before they buy, shopping around more, taking longer to decide. The impulse purchase that used to happen in 2 clicks now takes 2 weeks and maybe 10 clicks. At the same time, the cost of running a business has gone up. Fulfillment costs, ad costs, staffing costs, all of it. The margins that felt comfortable a few years ago are very much under pressure. You've probably noticed the channels that used to perform well have gotten more competitive and more expensive. What used to cost you £1 to acquire a customer now costs maybe 2, and the customer is spending less. So yes, it's a difficult time for a lot of businesses. That's real. That's not weakness to admit to. But here's the thing about blaming external factors. At a certain point, it becomes a ceiling. If the story is the market is hard and there's nothing we can do, you stop looking for the moves that are actually available to you. And there are always moves available. So what's different about the brands that are still growing? It's not luck. It's not that they're in easier markets. In most cases, they're dealing with the same headwinds as everybody else. And the difference is usually how they're thinking. The first thing I notice is that they've got absolute clarity on the numbers, not just revenue, margin, customer acquisition costs, lifetime value, return rates. They know exactly where they're making money and where they're not. When conditions get tight, the brands that survive are the ones who can make fast, informed decisions, and that only happens if you actually understand your numbers. The second thing is that they've got closer to their existing customers. When acquisition gets expensive, retention becomes the lever. The brands doing well right now are doubling down on email, on loyalty, on making existing customers feel like they matter. It's less glamorous than a big ad campaign, but it works, and the cost base is completely different. Third, and this is subtle but important, they stop trying to be everything to everyone. Difficult seasons have a way of forcing focus, and often the brand that comes out of a hard period is actually a better, sharper version of itself. Fewer SKUs, clearer positioning, a customer they actually understand. The brands that struggle tend to do the opposite. They scatter. Try more things, too many things, chase too many channels, and add more products, hoping something sticks, and they end up diluted. Hard markets reward focus. Good markets can hide a lack of it. I think it really does help to think about this in terms of seasons. There are times in business when the conditions are right for aggressive growth. You push hard, you invest, you expand, you're in absolute attack mode. But then there are times when the season calls for something slightly different, or maybe very different, protecting the margins, tightening operations, getting closer to your best customers, fixing things that were easy to ignore when revenue was covering everything. Neither season is more important than the other, but a lot of founders make the mistake of treating every season like absolute growth season, pushing the same levers, expecting the same results, and then wondering why it's not working. The brands I see coming out of hard period strongest are the ones who recognized the season they were in, adjusted accordingly, and used the difficulty to do the work they've been putting off. Better processes, stronger supplier relationships, a more honest look at what's actually working. These aren't exciting things to talk about, but they compound. And when the conditions shift again, those brands are in a very different, completely different position to take advantage of it. Now, I've been through a very difficult season in my own business, and one in particular sticks with me. Many years ago, shortly after the 2008 recession, I had to close my business, my baby. Spent 10 years building that business, not wind it down gradually, but I actually had to close it. And at that time, that was genuinely one of the hardest things I've been through. I put years into building something, and then the economic conditions just wiped it out. It was absolutely brutal. But here's the thing, I didn't see it at the time, and I really couldn't see it until much later. Going through that experience gave me something I couldn't have got any other way. I understood at a real level what it feels like to be an e-commerce store owner in a difficult season. The stress of it, the decisions you have to make, the stuff you lie awake thinking about, not from the outside looking in, but from the inside. But when I eventually built eComOne and started helping e-commerce brands with SEO, PPC, and performance marketing, that experience from a few years ago really shaped everything, because I wasn't just someone who understood the marketing, I understood the business behind it, and I understood what it actually means when revenues drop, when margins get squeezed, when you're trying to work out which lever to pull next. I didn't really realize it at the time, but closing that business was one of the things that made me better at what I do now. That's the part that's hard to see when you're in it. The difficulty isn't just something to survive, it's something that, if you let it, teaches you things that nothing else can. The decisions I made during that period out of necessity, out of pressure, ended up being some of the best decisions I ever made. I wouldn't have made them if things had been comfortable. Difficulty really does force clarity, and clarity, as it turns out, is one of the most valuable things a business can have. The economy will always shift. It always does. There isn't a storm that lasts forever. But the brands that use difficult seasons well to get leaner, sharper, closer to their customers, more honest about what's working, those brands don't just survive, they come out the other side in a stronger position than the ones that just sit there waiting for things to get better. There's a version of your business that's built for this, that can grow even when the market is tough. That doesn't need everything to go right to make progress. That's not a fantasy. I've seen it happen. I'm watching it happen right now with brands who've made the decisions to adapt instead of wait. So if you're in a hard season right now, I get it. It's not easy, but the question isn't whether the market is difficult. The question is, what are you doing with it? If this resonates and you want to talk about what some of those moves actually look like, please feel free to leave us a comment below or reach out. I'll see you in the next one.